Whatever. Mitchell.
Hello, how's things?
Que onda? That's Spanish for what's up, dude. I'm
Really?
yeah, yeah. I used to go to Mexico like every 4 months. Cookie, get off. And so there's a couple. I don't know. There's a couple phrases I picked up on. I uh I messaged you because I haven't yet researched how to resolve some compile errors, and we don't really have to do it on here. But if it was a sticking point that you ran into, um, it would be nice to talk about, even if we don't actually open up any IDEs. But essentially, my understanding is you made an update, I think like 3 weeks ago or a month ago, to the Nikeza server, which is written in F sharp.
Yeah.
And my dog is attacking me right now. And Cookie, stop. Um, and my understanding is you updated some. This is my understanding, not an accusation. That you updated some configuration file to pretty much say this is .NET Core 2.0,
Yeah.
and so I just I'm not an expert with source control, let alone Git, but I mean you're a pretty seasoned, recognized thought leader out there. And so, kind of like anybody that's respected in the industry, I just assume that whatever you write it just works. And I'm sure it does. It's just my machine hasn't been configured to work with it, I don't think. And
Oh,
so
okay. Are you actually running .NET Core 2?
I'm running hold up. Repeat that again. Am I actually running .NET Core what?
2.
I thought I installed it a long time ago. I guess I could find out real fast by.
Yeah, so you should be able to tell if it's in the, what's it? It's environment variables. I'm trying to remember the Windows name for things.
So what do I type in?
Uh,
.NET dot or
.NET
.NET
Core
Core
dash
2.0
version.
download. Hold up, you want me to do a command line thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how to do that. What do I type in and where?
You know how to open a command prompt, right?
Yeah, what directory I'll go to?
It doesn't matter. It should appear in everyone. Because
Okay.
I think, oh, actually, it might not, because if you're using it from Visual Studio, then it might not actually put it in the environment variables. But try opening it up anywhere and just type .NET Core space dash version.
.NET. Well, .NET. Is that spelled out .NET? DOT?
Yes.
All right. .NET Core is all one word. And then you
No, just
said,
.NET. No
oh,
core.
.NET, and then you said /V or hyphen V
Um,
or just V.
well, actually, the commands might be different. So just try typing .NET Core and then just press enter and it should complain.
And you keep on saying core. You mean .NET?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And then type in V. And .NET dash V is not found. And this is for my C /users directory.
Oh, okay. So I guess on Windows it doesn't install the environment variable.
No, no, that's not true. Hold up. It says usage.NET options. I'm supposed to put dash dash version. So
Ah,
.NET
okay.
dash dash
Yeah.
version. I don't use
They're a
command
little
lines.
inconsistent in the way in which they use the single versus double.
Yeah, mine says 2.0.0 dash preview 3 dash 006887.
Yeah, you might want to update that.
Oh, okay. It's still 2.0.0, right? It's just preview 5 or something, or is it official now?
It's been out since like August, like official like GA release.
Yeah, I'm a PC user. I don't know any of this stuff. All right, so .NET Core 2.0 download is what I'm Googling or edging. That sounds like a cooler verb. It's what I'm edging because that's the browser. And I see download .NET Core, and .NET Core 2.0 SDK for x64 installer. Yeah, yes, run. Oh, yeah. Don't you like, not to get too much in your business, I thought you worked for like a Hong Kong company.
Work for a Japanese company.
Same thing. I
Oh,
did I say that?
just start a war, why don't you?
Technically, it would be China and North Korea against Japan and United States. But
Mm.
what are you guys doing? Your typical legacy .NET, or are you guys doing some functional stuff?
So I'm still doing mobile stuff. So I'm still doing like Java, Android.
You don't use Xamarin?
They kind of started in like 2012, and 2012 Xamarin was still kind of unstable.
Oh, it's stable now.
Wow,
I
it's
didn't
not
say that
stable.
out loud. I remember last year I was messing around with it, and it got to the point where I was scared to update the to the latest version of Xamarin because
Yeah.
something would always break. And I was like,
Yes.
nah, I'm straight. I'll see on the version that I'm on right now. I mean, they're
Or you
to their credit,
or
they're
you had
doing
to update
something.
to the alpha channel
Yep.
because that particular alpha works, but the beta didn't and the stable didn't.
Yeah. I mean, granted, they're solving a really complicated problem. And
Mm.
I put Xamarin. Yes, I know they were acquired by Microsoft, but they weren't Microsoft originally. I put Xamarin up there in regards to their talent pool and their engineering abilities. I put them up there in the same category with JetBrains and Microsoft folks. Um, and that's with deep respect. Like they're on point. They take something that's very, very severely orders of magnitude complicated, and they're able to sell it as a product and maintain it. So a lot of shops that I work with, their stuff isn't that complicated. It's just the incompetence of developers that just overcomplicate something that is relatively trivial. So
Eh.
that's me venting. Um,
Yeah, I saw your LinkedIn post.
oh yeah. Oh, that's the truth, man. That's the truth. Like, I shouldn't have to be battling people on this, especially when I'm hired to get people on board and they still resist. So whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit tricky because you can't just like beat people over the stick and expect them to be happy about it. So
Well, something that is just I know it's challenging is when you're a founder or you're a CEO
mm,
and like you have certain skills and maybe skills you have a combination of required skills and a certain type of mentality, right? And you
yeah,
need both of them. You need skills and you need a certain type of like hard wiring in your brain.
mm,
And so you may not be technical, but you know how to get things done, or you at least know how to get things in motion so that the law of attraction can take its course and things just gravitate towards it and it gets bigger and bigger. That's pretty much my analogy or illustration of a startup founder. And the challenge is if they're not a programmer, the majority of them have a hard time vetting who is a competent developer, in the words of Odie, that can ship, you know,
yeah.
with emphasis on ship, not write code, but actually ship it. And honestly, I mean, I've interviewed some developers, and honestly, they may have at their age they were probably more advanced than I was when I was their age.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, something that I observed repeatedly regardless of entry level, junior level, senior level, is people struggle to finish what they started. Translated, people struggle to actually ship working software. Even if they are knowledgeable, for some reason, there's so many factors that they haven't yet mastered, that it's just something that I'm observing, and I'm starting to observe it on a routine basis, and it's starting to annoy me. Anyway, have you ever
Yeah,
experienced that? You don't have to reference your specific job now, but where like
about like
people,
starting things but not finishing it.
yeah,
It's kind of hard because like often like it's you kind of set this kind of goal, which is really this dream of this perfect thing in the sky, and you're never going to reach it, and then you just get depressed and give up.
yeah, yeah,
um, but like it's really hard to kind of, I think, for a lot of people to kind of understand that you don't just kind of jump to that goal, you kind of like fail your way up to it.
you fumble. You
You fail your way up to it.
in the words of Justin Wayne, you fumble down the field till you finally score. And so, well, that's
Okay, I don't really
words.
know the
You know, in American
I don't,
football, you
yeah,
keep
yeah,
bobbling the football. It may drop a couple times as you're running with it, and but you're still like in motion. And so, anyway, yeah,
yes.
it's but something that I don't think people realize, or maybe it's just something that works for me, is people don't. Very rarely do I see developers with a checklist that keeps them on course, that keeps them focused, and that is measurable so that they know where they're at. For me, it's an automated checklist. I call them automated tests, right? Um,
Mm.
but but a lot of developers, they just pretty much just flail, or whatever the right word is. They splash, they
Crash.
spin
Yeah.
their wheels, and then eventually they might get there. And so it's just I know I was one of them. I think I'm a lot better now, but just it's just something that I'm
Yeah, it's
observing.
because a lot of us don't like get taught how to like software engineer. We get taught how to write code, especially like a lot of boot camps. It's all about writing the code. There's no, they have to like make a project. So maybe I don't really know them that well now I think about it. But like,
Well,
uh,
what play?
it's really easy to fall into that trap where you just kind of start writing the solution before you know what your problem is.
Yeah, I mean, I still when I build software, and like I was taking a junior developer, and I was trying to like teach him TDD,
Hmm.
and for me it's like it's hardwired. Like I don't you could give me like any arbitrary problem and I will make progress with it because I start off very granular at the very basic, and then I start massaging that code through several tests into an actual model that reflects some type of business domain. And but it's like I observe these developers that I'm trying to teach, and this is just object oriented programming, right? Like,
Hmm.
which I don't like doing. But anyway, I when I'm teaching this whole test driven development, which is like I think it has to be like 10 to 15 years old now, right? But to a lot of people, this is brand new.
Yeah.
This is cutting edge. When I'm teaching it, like they they still struggle to. I still have to hold their hand, right? So if I tell them to write a calculator program, um, even if I like demonstrate how to do it, and then I walk off into my glorified office, and I come back like 4 hours later, like they're still like, yeah, I'm stuck. I'm like, what do you think is the biggest hiccup?
with them not knowing how to continue. I don't know. Possibly, like, if you're trying to teach them like test-driven development, like you can show them a few things, and they might kind of understand what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Maybe you need to leave them with some resources to kind of go and read.
yeah. Do you still do TDD? Because you're working on object-oriented code, right?
Uh, yeah, sort of. I kind of write it in a very odd way. Well, odd if you're.
Okay. Or are you like me where you have, are you like me where when you're writing C sharp or Java, because you said you're doing Android, what are you doing? What are you
It's
writing your
mostly
Android apps in?
mostly Kotlin.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So that's
So
somewhat that's functional first.
not
It's a
you
hybrid.
can write it like that. You can write a carried function quite easily. Um, but no, it's just a language, I guess. I don't really think it has any kind of strong opinion about OO versus functional. But what it does do quite well is it has a very high degree of interoperability of Java, which means you can use it with quite high success in Android without having to
So here's a
have
question,
too many drawbacks.
because I heard on the my dog is tearing up my trash can in the kitchen. I heard on the Lambda Cartel on one of the Lambda Cartel episodes,
Yeah.
Pablo was interviewing an outsider, and they were talking
Yeah.
about Kotlin for mobile or for Android, and
Okay.
Pablo was asking, will Microsoft uh, have an answer to Kotlin? And I was screaming through my phone as I was listening to the podcast. I'm like, yeah, it's called F sharp. It's
Yeah,
and
it's
it's not
sort
just
of
for mobile, But
I would say the biggest difference between Kotlin, like if you do like the whole F sharp versus C sharp versus Kotlin versus Java thing, is that Java is still moving quite slowly, whereas C sharp, when after they did the whole Roslyn thing, was moving quite quickly. But not just that, but F sharp interrupting with C sharp and vice versa is not the nicest experience. Like you can get it to work really well. It requires manual effort. Whereas Kotlin and Java can talk to each other almost actually completely seamlessly, to the point of where you can actually have Java and Kotlin source files in the same package and just kind of mix them in.
hold on, you said F sharp and C sharp do not play nicely.
Not that well because like C sharp, like F sharp kind of assumes that anything from C sharp is not nullable by default, whereas because it doesn't really have any
Oh, okay,
information
okay,
that
I understand. I
it can
I was
assert about things. The way in which records get passed to back and forwards is not the
okay
nicest way.
because there's
Off, yeah.
yeah, because you're talking about the runtime interrupts, and I was considering the IDE tooling and
Yeah.
debugging. So in debugging, it appears to work fine.
Yeah.
However, within the IDE, when I'm trying to like use common shortcuts like go to definition,
Mm.
there's barriers where if I'm in C sharp and I say, or if I'm in, how does this work? If I'm in C sharp and I say go to definition, and that class or that function is in the F sharp assembly or library,
Yep.
it won't go to my literal developer file.
Mm.
It'll just generate the code from a DLL that has all that special header stuff at the top of it that you normally see
Yep.
when you reference code that's not yours. So yeah, there's two different perspectives. I was talking about the IDE, and you were talking about runtime. But okay,
Yeah. So there's a few things there as well. Like, well, Kotlin's made by JetBrains, and they make like all the Java IDEs as well as a bunch. They make a .NET one now as well. So in terms of getting tooling support, well, you've got probably like the world's premier tool developer building the language. Like it's kind of hard not to have good tooling.
Yeah, I'm still getting this error, which we could discuss another time. It's
You haven't told me what the error
the
is.
target restore does not exist in the project. Do I need to
Target
type in restore? Is that a command or something? Yo, my dog is killing something.
Share your screen.
I'll Google that error later.
Well, we've spent like how long are we talking for? Like 20 minutes just talking about stuff. So
Well, you about to go to work, right?
I'm technically at work. I get in fairly early, but yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I've got time to talk for a little bit. So
I discovered your NDC Sydney talk on my own because I never saw you publish a link. Maybe you did, but I was just, me on a late night. I take my flashlight and I just start Googling F sharp. And I saw a video by you. I'm like, yo.
I was surprised how many views it got. Like it was like 400 views last time I looked. I was like, God.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was like, yo, I'm affiliated with this guy. Yeah. Speaking of which, did you ever get interviewed by Functional Geekery or Developer on Fire?
I'm talking to Dave in mid-October.
Man, that late?
It's been a little bit busy.
Okay.
Ever since like starting this job, like I really haven't had much time for like anything else. It was pretty intense, kind of, because it was preparing for NDC, and then pretty much I joined the company like the week before I was presenting at NDC, and then I go to NDC, and then like the week after I fly to Japan for 10 days for work.
How was that? Do you feel like an
Oh,
alien?
that was pretty good. Sorry?
Did you feel like an alien? As in,
oh, right. Yeah.
whenever I'm in a foreign country, whether it's like Mexico or the Philippines, no one looks like me. No one talks like me. I'm taller than everybody. I feel like I'm on a different planet.
It's the Philippines. Like everyone talks like you.
But I mean, it's cool. I enjoy culture.
One of the legacies of the American occupation of the Philippines is that they all have American accents because all the English schools were built by Americans.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure if it's an American accent, but it's probably the most understood accent. I'm going to catch hate mail for this. It's a lot easier to understand Filipinos that are, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 miles away than it is the people that are native to the country of India. There's a definite difference, and so there's a lot of companies that I'm aware of that they outsource their customer service to the Philippines because it's just easier to understand them if you are an American. I'm not sure if it's the same with Australians or British, but for American ears, it's just a lot easier to understand a Filipino on the other end of the phone versus an Indian. So hopefully people don't get too disturbed with what I said. I mean, it is what it is. So
it's probably just like the whole familiarity thing, because I remember like playing online games and like getting into like the it's not the Skype, TeamSpeak. That was the thing of the day. I don't know if that still exists. It probably does. And the first time hearing a Texan speak, and it took me about a week to understand anything he said.
You said Texan?
Yeah, like with the drawl, like the really thick stereotypical accent that you think of when you think of Texas.
Yeah,
well, Texas accent anyway.
I mean, it's a lot of southern states. Miami is in the south, but it's really East Coast. But there's other parts of Florida where like I'm talking to someone and they're like just talking. I'm like, yo, I don't understand you. Like, what are you saying? Like, sometimes I feel like I'm in a different country because I'm from up north, right? I'm closer to Canada where I'm originally from. I'm just a transplant down here. So
So yeah, because like you had like Orleans, which was originally French. So I wonder if that's why you see like a kind of split between North Florida and South Florida in terms of like the linguistics.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't really researched normal American history. Last night I fell asleep to a lot of Paul Mooney interviews and Malcolm X speeches. Um,
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if you're aware of who those people are, but it's
Yeah,
it's
I have a rough idea. Like,
yeah, it's not
yeah,
a conversation that people frown up. It's a conversation that would be frowned upon, but it or
well, my
translated
understanding was that Malcolm X was in favor of more direct means of achieving freedom,
by any means
whereas
necessary.
yes, whereas I believe it was oh, forgive me, what's the other
Martin
guy's
Luther
name?
King.
Yeah, Mr. King was in favor of a much more kind of peaceful, peaceful if not slower approach.
Yeah, and Martin Luther King won. Um, he had the right game plan. I mean, I'm not sure if you want to call it game theory, but with Martin Luther King, my interpretation of it is he outwitted um, the people that run the country or mainstream America. He outwitted them by saying, okay, I'm going to expose to the entire world, let alone the United Nations, that United States pretty much is the puppeteer of. I'm going to expose that the United States does not practice what they preach. And regardless of the Constitution, is utterly ignored. And it does not apply for second class citizens. It only applies to people of certain color. And I'm going to expose that. And Martin Luther King executed perfectly by purposely marching through predominantly racist areas of the rural South, getting media attention and getting it filmed and reported all over the world, in which the United States could no longer um, they can no longer hide their for lack of a better term, I won't say war crimes, but how they abused actual citizens, their own kind. So like that stuff, it's taboo, but you know what? I mean, the reason why we're here today and the reason why we have the problems that we have and also the luxuries that we have is all based on history. And people don't like to talk about it because they're embarrassed. But I'll talk about it because it's still relevant and it still applies today. All right, I'm done with my speech.
Let's get back to things like I
Okay.
understand I'm going to annoy people. As important as these topics are, I would not consider myself as a expert on mid set. Was it mid modern history? Is that what
Well, look,
those 20th
I'm not going
century
to say
more?
anything else except for this. I have a cousin that lives, I think it's called Gold Coast, Australia. And
Yeah, that's in Brisbane. So they got
okay,
the Gold Coast as the kind of
and
the
my understanding,
sunshine, golden beaches kind of
my
thing.
my understanding, and it may not be true, but I've heard it from more
Mhm.
than one source. Is and I promise I'll leave the subject alone. But
Okay,
the natives of Australia, or
the
as I understand
Aborigines.
it, Aborigines, they
Yes.
also get treated with second class, regardless of what Australia's constitution may be. In actuality, they're not treated the same. All right, I'm done. So,
Yeah, that's yes, that's definitely probably true. Because I think it was until like the mid '70s or something, Aborigines were technically classified as like plants. So yeah,
oh,
not the best history.
I'm not laughing. I don't know what
Yeah,
you.
it's yeah, like yeah, not good.
Let's talk about some F sharp.
So I
Yeah.
know about F sharp. I've been trying to like get like a F sharp console project to run, but I keep running into like weird issues. Like but I need to use the I need to use Mono because I'm trying to get some Selenium stuff going. But
I You know what?
Keeps me playing.
Forget F Sharp. Oh, F Sharp Open Conference or Open F Sharp or whatever that thing is called is going on today and tomorrow in San Francisco. I was looking for a vacation tomorrow to go to Jamaica, and then I was going back and forth between my Twitter and the website to book my vacation, and I saw Mateus. I don't know how to say his name. He's a F Sharp guru. He's up there with Mark Seaman, Scott Blashin, and Jan Curry. He's British, but he's Asian. I don't know his name. Jan Curry. I don't remember his name. You know his name, right? You don't know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're referring to.
He's been on a lot of podcasts and YouTube videos. Last time I checked, he went from F Sharp to Scala. He was on .NET Rocks, and he was talking about how he was working at a gaming company and how they leverage F Sharp and how it's just, according to him, orders of magnitude faster when processing a lot of data. Anyway, I think his name is Jan Curry, something like that. I met him when I was in
You keep
London.
changing his name every time you try to guess it.
You know, I'll figure it out and I'll post it in the notes. But something that last thing, I'm going to scatterbrain right now because I understand that you're about to handle your business. Is I still dedicate an hour a day out of my life towards Nikeza. I made a lot of progress, and I've learned a lot of things. I made a lot of architectural changes based on, well, Nikeza actually having to the Nikeza client actually having to rely on a server, and that changed a lot of things, right? A lot.
Yeah, because the client was kind of. You kind of wrote the client if this kind of concept that the server doesn't exist. And the homepage, the home Elm kind of got a bit big, and I'm not. That might be commented on. I have no idea how to edit that thing.
Well, there's a guy named Chad Gilbert that answers almost every single question that I post on Stack Overflow, and he writes like dissertations for answers when I ask questions on Elm. And I really want to figure out how to record a conversation with him. I mean, even if he doesn't want to be seen, he can put up a little avatar. I really want to pick his brain, and I really want to do some pair programming so he can at least show me how to pull apart this damn near 1,500 line Elm file called home.elm. I'm not proud of that file, but I mean, you guys know that this is me learning Elm, so it is what it is until I learn how to get better with it. But
I think we kind of, with Nikeza, went a bit kind of like, we know nothing, let's learn all the things and build it at the same time. What can go wrong?
Well, you blog about what you've learned. That's what I plan to do after the first version of it. I plan on having conference talks lined up for Nikeza server and F Sharp, Nikeza client, and Elm, and a whole bunch of things about what not to do. Right? That's what makes you an expert. When you can be Wikipedia and say what not to do when you're leveraging these specific technologies, and these are the techniques that you attempted to use and why they don't work based on this specific context. In addition to that,
it's very good from a personal experience, especially once you've got deep enough into it. But it kind of builds up these walls where it's a little bit kind of hard to kind of like, if you go away for a week and come back and like everything's changed and like. They've moved my cheese again.
Yep. But I mean, I think it's necessary. I'm actually proud of myself for keep sticking to it every single day and having this whole hour ritual.
That's good because like you really had the kind of idea that you wanted to kind of put together something. I don't think we, in terms of managing a project, were able to kind of extract that idea from your head very easily.
Oh. The other part that I don't think is going to fit, and I think I told you like last week, Idris is on my list.
Yeah, I do know, like, because Idris, I don't know how practical Idris is for like an applications just yet. I haven't looked at it in like maybe 2 years,
so this is why it's on my list. My dog is tearing up my kitchen. I hear all these sounds and I'm afraid to go in there. So this is what's on my list.
Mm-hmm.
So I've recently worked within the health insurance space, medical insurance, whatever you call it. I've
Yeah.
recently worked within that space. And so within that space, you have this interesting thing that represents a collection of business rules that
Mm-hmm.
when you bundle them together, we slap a tag called policies on them. So a
Yes.
policy is essentially a collection of business rules that somehow belong together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so why am I talking about this? Well, this stuff can get pretty pretty complicated if you do it in OOP or object-oriented programming, and you can have hella pattern matches everywhere if you do it using a functional programming language, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
understand that Idris is a functional programming language.
Well,
However,
it's dependently typed, isn't it?
yes, that's my understanding.
Yes.
It's still a functional programming language. Um, so with that said, because there's hella conditions, because there's some domains that have hella conditions or all these different paths based on certain
When you say hella
contexts.
conditions, you mean complex relationships and rules.
Yes.
Yeah.
So within OOP, you will have a godly switch statement or a whole bunch of else if, else if, else if, else ifs, and then
Mm-hmm.
nested. Um, when you run into domains that have these types of policies or these types of conditions that can get really complicated if not managed correctly. I'm really interested in Elm because you can, as I understand it, you can you can basically consolidate these conditions into an individual type. All right. And
Yeah.
my understanding is types in Elm, or shall I say dependent types in Elm, rely
Okay.
on arguments that will compute the end type. And so to make long story
Yeah.
short, I know I kind of butchered this. I look at Idris as potentially a modest approach, if not, given we're in 2017 and the age of software development, perhaps maybe the best approach. F-star is there too, but F-star hasn't really, it's still in research, right? I think Idris is a little bit more polished. That's my understanding. I haven't worked with it, but dealing with complicated spaces like that,
Yeah.
I really want to experiment with Idris to deal with all these different conditions that you could basically express as a type, and that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Like, it's a dog.
It's my
It's
mascot.
my like quarter.
Yeah, she destroyed my kitchen. I'm scared to go back there. So
um. Yeah. Possibly. I don't know. Like, I've talked to a few people like working in kind of like dealing with like legal documents and relationships between them and things. Some of them I was talking to were using OCaml, and they said they can get most of the way there using OCaml, but they're probably going to switch to using something like Haskell because they can model the relationships a lot better.
so my understanding is Haskell is kind of the mainstream language of functional programmers. That might be absolutely wrong, but that's my understanding. When it comes to hardcore functional programmers, Haskell is
It's the
like
mainstream academic functional language, and it was kind of accidentally invented for that purpose, as I understand it.
the caveat is my understanding is Haskell doesn't support dependent types.
You can kind of get dependent types in Haskell. I'm not. I've seen you talks on doing dependent typing in Haskell, but I think you rely on code generation a little bit when you try and do
Uh,
dependent typing in Haskell. But I
Translated,
don't think you. I
there's
don't
some
think.
white magic involved in order to get that to work, right?
Uh, oh, goddamn nerdy.
It's,
Yeah, possibly. There's a lot of white magic involved in doing that. But I don't know if you need a dependent type to model these types of relationships
um, no,
because
I want to
if
abuse a programming language. Anytime I learn a new programming language, I completely abuse it and I overcomplicate a solution to a problem. And ultimately, I come back to it and like, hey, thought leader on this specific programming language, this is what I did. Can you help me understand a better way? And whatever I did in like 50 lines, they do it in like 6. And I'm
yeah.
like, yo, I never even considered that. God, but it's necessary, right? So
Yeah, sometimes like Haskell programs have the tendency to be like um, ultra simple and ultra complex at the same time. Like you got these like crazy symbols, this like 3 lines of code that does all of this
hieroglyphics,
magic.
that's what I call it.
Yeah, so I don't know, like that might be a little bit unmaintainable, or I don't know. Like ask Ed Komet, he probably know about how to like write maintainable Haskell.
No,
Um,
the case the client is not maintainable. I mean, I've been
yeah,
maintaining it, but it's like that home.elm is the only file. Everything else I think is okay. But the main driver, yeah, it's not. No one's going to be able to understand that code except for Chad Gilbert, the person that answers my questions on Stack Overflow every single time. So anyway,
yeah.
yo, this has been a good session. We got really technical, then we talked about racism. That's what's up. Yeah,
We always seem to end up there for some reason. I don't know why.
yeah. Uh, certain people gravitate towards certain things. So
You've been watching too much Fox News, haven't you?
I don't really watch TV. I really don't. Like CNN is a joke. It's a gossip channel. Fox News, that's
I
what
really don't know the American news channels that well. Like, if it's like, occasionally things pop up on Twitter, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
they're not news. They're celebrity gossip, especially CNN. I'm not sure what
Oh,
happened. Someone died and new leadership took over. It is celebrity gossip. Um, they were responsible for me having a meltdown when the hurricane came to Florida. People were blowing up my phone because it was the apocalypse, and I just stopped responding. Man, I stopped returning text messages. I stopped answering calls because everybody was watching CNN, and they thought that Miami would be destroyed. Florida Keys got destroyed, and I think Puerto Rico got destroyed. But
I looked at a flood map recently of Puerto Rico, and like, finding news about it was really hard. Like, it's just so underreported. But like, the flood map showed the entire island as flooded. So the hurricane tried to sink the island, as far as I can tell.
yeah, um, and then there's arguments about climate change, which I'm not going to talk about. But yeah, like the news is
One
it's
controversial
celebrity
topic
gossip.
per session.
Yeah, it's celebrity gossip. So what's up? You gonna learn this Idris with me? Where are you going? How are you leveling up? Are you taking a break?
Uh, Probably, I don't know, like the last few months, it's just felt like this roller coaster of just one event after another. So it was like NDC, new job, Japan, and then we got back from Japan. And someone was like, "Oh, do we have this feature?" And we're like, "No. Why do you ask?" Well, we kind of sold it. Great. When is it due by? 2 weeks.
Did you guys get it done?
Um, Ask me in another 2 weeks.
It's not a death march though. Hold on, you said another 2 weeks? Okay.
No, it's got to the point where it's just a matter of trying to work out, what exactly we actually promised certain people and things. So,
Is this software specifically for the Eastern, or is this software geared towards let me translate. Let me start over. Can this software that you're building be used globally, or is it for a specific company, or is it for a
The
specific
company
side of
I
the
work,
planet?
yeah, so the company I work for is called Moneytree, and they do financial data aggregation.
Okay.
So the idea is you put in all your kind of financial credentials, and then we kind of bring it all together and show you like all your financial assets across all your different accounts. Um, and the benefit to doing this is that if you need to like go to somebody who needs your financial information to make an assessment, so like a home broker, a bank, what was it, a tax agency, all that kind
IRS.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
Uh,
Then we provide you the ability to give them access to just the information they need.
okay.
Yeah.
And you're doing the mobile
So
app for them.
yeah, so the mobile app's main purpose is to allow you to control access as well as show you all your assets.
Yeah.
So
I'm putting my dog in a wrestling move. You watch wrestling?
uh, no, yeah.
Anyway, well,
So they launched they started in Japan in 2012 and launched in Australia a few months ago. So
well, that sounds. I mean, what you're not complaining, but what you're like venting about, this seems like really good stuff. I had to go to Japan to build some
no, that
software.
part was good. It's just
Oh,
it's
then I had to
like
give a talk at a conference. You know, woe is me.
no
I'm a
no
respected
you're
thought
almost
leader.
you're mistaking my 5 day tiredness for like
Okay,
descent.
okay,
But like it hasn't been too bad. So like I wouldn't say we've been on a death march, but it's just kind of been uh, there's a lot of pressure to kind of like deliver.
yeah.
Um,
I felt that way before.
yeah, so like this happens in every company. There's always this kind of like moment where this is that like crunch point for some deliverable that's you need to be able to make, and just like you have to kind of do that over time. So yeah, it's
It's
just kind
been
of yeah, been fun.
yeah.
It
It's
has
been
been fun. Like don't mistake me.
okay.
Um, but yeah, so the like, and there's been like gaps between these events, so it's not been like totally kind of like you know balls to the wall the entire time. Um, and then like Julia, my wife, you talked to briefly, is I think now 35 weeks pregnant. So in a fortnight, well, once you get to 37 weeks, basically the probability of the baby just turning up is reasonable. Between 37 and like 40 weeks, it's sometime in that period, it's probably going to occur. Once you get past 40 weeks, they kind of, they're like, oh, you're at 42 weeks. We're going to induce you.
Uh oh, man up.
Yeah. You don't want things to get too big, otherwise they don't fit.
I offline. I gotta tell you. Offline, I gotta tell you about something that I experienced that was similar. Um, I can't say it. I can't say it recorded.
Similar stuff, but
It has to be offline. But I went through labor too. It hurt, man. I yeah. Anyway, well,
all
congrats
right.
on
So
that. Congrats on that.
yeah,
So
so that'll be an interesting time.
uh,
So that's really not that far away. So yeah.
the the country of Australia in general, the companies they give fathers how long for paternity leave?
Um, I don't think Australia is that good. I know my wife's maternity leave is insane because I think her maternity leave, as well as the fact that she can take a bit more extra time but get less money while on maternity leave, means that she will have 7 months off at half pay.
Yeah, I was talking about the guys.
Yeah. You should apply for a job and then we'll tell you.
Uh, I actually I would do a year in Australia. I heard Sydney's nightlife is dead, but like,
Yeah, it's yeah,
but I would
not the
go out
best.
there. It'll be cool, you know. I'm not sure if there's much to do, but it's definitely satisfying to get on my bucket list. Like, yo, well, no, because you guys got New Guinea. Hold on, what's that little? You have New Zealand, and you have some other Papua Guinea. I don't know. You got some islands over there that look interesting that I could island hop at on the weekends, right?
By on the weekend, you mean get on a flight and go for that, between 5 and 8 hours to somewhere. Yeah, you could. Yeah,
Well, Sydney's on the coast, right?
it is. But I
Hop
think
on
New
a
Zealand is
ferry.
still five
Like when
hours
I was in the
away.
Philippines, I just hop on the ferry, hit up Bohol,
Yeah,
hit
but
up
the Philippines is an archipelago.
Davao.
Australia is big enough to be considered a continent.
The Philippines is like 7,108 islands. I would
Yeah,
island hop on the weekends.
that's what the definition of an archipelago is: a
Okay.
series of islands.
Then I could go to Malaysia, probably fly out there.
If you really want to explore like
Just
Southeast Asia, something
not
like
use Malaysian
Singapore is a
Airlines
good
though.
place to go hang out for a bit
Can't use
because
Malaysian
then you can.
Airlines. What do you
Oh,
say about
Malaysian
Singapore?
Airlines. If you want to explore Southeast Asia, Singapore is probably like the most central point you can go, kind of base yourself
No, they
because
got
you can fly
strong
pretty much
laws.
anywhere in a few hours.
They got strong laws, man. I can't afford to make any mistakes in Singapore. I like I actually when I was working in
What are you
Cleveland,
planning to do?
I'm saying like it's easy to like when I travel, I like to have a good time because I'm in a place where no one knows me, and I get to like if I want to cut up, I can cut up a little bit. I don't even
You can't
man.
afford enough alcohol in Singapore to be able to get like last minute drugs for the plane.
Yeah, I heard cars are like really expensive to own. Because I worked with a whole bunch of Singaporeans. We had outsourced some work to them, and then we brought them on site in Cleveland, and we were working with them at a C++ shop.
Yeah.
Um, I heard it's crazy hot out there. I would go, man. I'm just scared of like going out at night and having fun and finding out that I broke a law and then like something happens to me in jail. But
Now you're making me wonder what you do if you're a motorcycle club.
oh no, I calm down a lot. I barely even ride with them now. So
Eh,
uh,
I don't know.
we touched every single subject known to man. So
I was gonna like try to help you like fix this F sharp thing, and you just ended up just having a chat.
oh yeah, I would
Not that
appreciate
that's
that.
bad. It's like
That F sharp code base, it got like I don't know if you examined it recently, but I got like I would like to say, and I mean you can review it if you're interested. That stuff is tested, man. I got hella integration tests in there now.
that's good. I
Yeah.
I can't actually get like MS SQL to run on like Mac. Um,
Oh well, you
it
don't.
is the MS SQL like Docker, which is I guess really targeted at Linux, but whatever Linux VM the Mac seems to be using to run Docker images doesn't seem to like it for whatever reason. Like you get onto like the GitHub and there's dozen or so issues with people having trouble with the Mac one.
You know, I was and still am against all of you that wanted to basically donate so much effort towards Docker. I think I can understand the rationale. I just felt like that was such a huge time drain. But whatever. If it's a means to a
Like
necessary ends, then so be it. But I
the,
never got it at all.
but you didn't have to. Like you got like the .NET framework and like a SQL like management studio and everything. Like
Meaning I have a PC that I'm building software in.
yeah, Yeah, and as much as Microsoft is really pushing to like move to .NET onto these platforms, a lot of the tools aren't really being moved to the platform because like .NET Core is really targeting like cloud applications. Like yeah, it's
Well,
assumed that
I
you're
mean,
running in like Azure or somewhere where your database is in another host, so you don't need to worry about
or
running it per location.
translated .NET Core targets server side. Is that fair to say? When
Uh,
you say cloud, and what I translated is .NET
yeah.
Core doesn't focus on porting client libraries such as like WPF or well, yeah, client stuff. Or we could be talking different languages right
Possibly,
now.
possibly, because you got to remember there's two things in .NET Core. So you've got well, so .NET Core is kind of like a sibling project, which is the .NET Standard, which .NET Core kind of drives because it's the big push to create that cross-platform solution that consumes .NET Standard. But the .NET Framework can also consume .NET Standard libraries.
So are PCLs pretty much deprecated now, or
Uh,
portable class libraries?
I wouldn't say it's deprecated just yet, but I would say you're probably going to get a bigger benefit from .NET Standard. It's also a lot simpler to compile.
I just got a text message saying Microsoft Ignite videos are posted. Ignite videos are more DevOps, right?
They're a bit of a mix, like because Ignite's kind of like they're kind of
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. I mean, I know
But
someone that's
they sell a lot of DevOps tools, so it makes sense that a lot of the talks will be like DevOpsy.
one of my mentors is out there, but like, I don't
Say
know.
mentors or minotaurs?
Mentors. Am I pronouncing that right? Mentors, like
Probably.
a really really old person that provides guidance to you occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you ask
Uh,
another person about like pronunciation and spelling and things because like, well, actually, like the British do the same, but the way that Australian and British people spell jail is actually Goal.
well, it could just be me. I butcher words because I haven't really researched the correct ways of pronouncing them. Always butcher pronouncing and enunciating. I don't know which one to use, but yeah.
I don't think it really matters because like as soon as you kind of fix the kind of ecosystem of a language, you kind of kill it.
Hmm, that's it. It's 6:30. My dog has been patient. I have to take her out, and
All right.
it's been real. And I don't know, maybe tomorrow or this week, and if I can't figure it out, maybe you can nudge me in a certain direction with a compilation of the error that I was getting in F
I
sharp.
think you just need to upgrade .NET Core because I
I
was able
did,
to compile
unless
it.
I did.
Did you
Unless
try to
you're not on a
compile it?
PC though. You're not on a PC, are you?
No, but I can't think why .NET Core like GA would behave differently. Well, there are some cases where it behaves differently. Apparently, like
Uh,
string.contains had a performance issue on Linux.
I heard. It was. I was listening to .NET Rocks today, and John Ski was complaining about some performance issue with the English London English whatever cultural or string culture whatever that thing is called. Anyway, make a long story
Yeah,
short,
that I think was it. That I think that's the same one where like the string.contains on Linux for British English wasn't optimized or something.
yeah, who would have known to test for that? So,
All
all right,
right,
where am I at? All right,
better
good
let your
stuff.
dog go.
Control Shift B, build. Yeah, so whatever. We'll catch up later. Thanks, Mitch.
All right, have fun.
Yep, see ya. Bye.